Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, Stephen A. Smith, man, some one of these names that I just hate saying because I'm here because of guys like this. Greatest player in New York basketball history. That's what he proclaims that Kevin Durant is, man. And truthfully, man, I'm like sick to my stomach that he said it because it's really just an attack against New York City, and he's from New York. This is what drives me crazy. They have that little microphone in their ear, and they're getting fed these propaganda things, and they put out there just to spite the Knicks fans and to start that whole disrespectful stuff. But now you've gone too far now when you bring the whole city into the thing, where a guy where he last year he was on we didn't know if he was going to come back with the blown Achilles. Now this year all of a sudden we're in the playoffs, and now you want to proclaim that he's the greatest player, he said the greatest player in New York history. That is a loaded comment, and it hurts me. It hurts me to read that and to know somebody from New York City had the audacity to say that. I have like a couple things queued up here, but I'm just gonna take my time with it. This is the initial post that I saw here, man. Because listen, I haven't watched ESPN on purpose in so long. The only time that I ever see it is if I'm at work, you know, or if somebody posts a clip on Twitter or Instagram. So this is my guy, Knicks Community Podcast. This is my boy Aiden here. We work together a lot with these podcasts, man. And this is what's been keeping me alive of the last few years. Just our fan base getting together, making podcasts. Because I don't have to go listen to these people, But Aiden made a post just to get us together. He got State of the Knicks podcast there. He got Danny B there. He got Knicks Film School, Knicks Fan TV, and Guard Up Knicks podcast. He had to tag us in it so we all could see it. Kevin Garnett is the greatest player to ever represent the city of New York City, of New York in basketball. Man, and that I'm like trembling. I'm trembling almost, man, because if you just want to talk about the NBA, NBA in general, you just want to talk about players that played for New York. This is a backhanded comment going at the Knicks. Let's keep it a buck. This is just about dissing the Knicks. It's all fun and games dissing the Knicks. You always figure out new and better ways to smear us all over the canvas. Okay, it's not about that because you said New York. You didn't say the Knicks. So now you threw the whole city under the bus, man. So I'm not gonna to bring up Willis Reed. I'm not gonna talk about Clyde Frazier. I'm not gonna talk about Ewing. We're gonna talk about New Yorkers. The real New Yorkers that actually played this game and got to the NBA. I'm just gonna scroll. Michael Jordan, they always put him up there as the first, man, but he was born in Brooklyn, and he actually lived in Brooklyn for his first few years of life before they moved down south, man. That's the case for a lot of people that live in New York. They usually the baby of the family, and Jordan was I believe the second born. So the older brother might remember Brooklyn a little bit before they moved down to down south. But like I said, a lot of people here do have that same story. Life is too bad here in Brooklyn during the 80s. During the 60s and in the 70s. So they moved down south, just to try to get away from that and give the kids a simple life, to get away from all the violence and everything that was happening during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So you can't fault that. But Michael Jordan is there and he belongs there. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a lot of people don't even realize that he's from New York City. He's not talked about enough. He's from Harlem, Upper West Side, New York. We're going to talk about some more players connected with him. Julius Erving, people forget that he's from New York. Roosevelt, Long Island, man. He's from New York City. He actually played for the Nets when they were actually a real New York team when they first started out in the ABA. So that's all greatness right there. Bob Cousy, how many championships did he have with the Boston Celtics, man? One of the greatest point guards of his generation. How many players gave birth from watching Bob Cousy play? How many people watched his tapes growing up? In the 80s and whatever. Well after this guy made championships and stuff like that. Carmelo Anthony's everyone's favorite son. I have my issues with Carmelo Anthony as a player when he was here, but he still put in enough work and enough history here to warrant some kind of respect. Somebody that just came along is just going to take the shine off all these guys. Donovan Mitchell, another guy. He's from New York. He's from upstate New York. Scroll down. Bernard King. With the reason why I'm a Knicks fan. Bernard King. Aside from my dad introducing me to Bernard King and the Knicks, he's the reason why I'm a Knicks fan. Kemba Walker is a little bit too high, but Kemba Walker, he did his thing in college. He's from the Bronx. Like people could touch Kemba Walker. You know what I'm saying? People could go to where he grew up and play pickup with Kemba Walker. They know him that. He has, I forgot who said it. I'm going to credit Alan Han. He said, you got to put blood in the ground. Kemba Walker, the reason why that he might be declining in health right now because he has blood in the ground in New York City, in the playgrounds, in the Bronx, man. Chris Mullin. Super unathletic. You know what I'm saying? Somehow with his jump shot and his basketball IQ, passing ability, and the stupid haircut, he ended up he's a freaking Hall of Famer, man. Dream Team. Come on, you got to put some respect on New York's name, man. Tiny Archibald. I could scroll down. Stephon Marbury is another guy, man. Stephon Marbury for about 6 seasons. He was in the same breath as Oscar Robertson before Russell Westbrook and all these guys came on and started making these these fake triple doubles and stuff like that. Stephon Marbury was the only guy that had a stat that was connected to Oscar Robertson for about 6 seasons, man. When it comes to, I think it was like 7 assists and 20 points. He's like one of the only 2 people in history at the time. Andre Drummond, I forgot he was from Mount Vernon. Bob Lanier, Mark Jackson. Just scroll down. Tobias Harris, Lamar Odom, Jamal Mashburn. Jamal Mashburn was Mr. Basketball in New York, man. People forget that Mashburn is from New York City. He's from the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken. He was Mr. Basketball in New York, but everybody remembers him from being in Miami and Charlotte, as an NBA player. But he actually has blood in the ground in New York City, man. Elton Brand, I mentioned Odom. Elton Brand, Artest is coming up soon. Danny Green, Kenny Smith, Igo Artest. Artest, Elton Brand, and Odom, they were on the same AAU team growing up, man. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing it and being and feeling, tasting that electricity in New York City, man. So it really hurts me that somebody from New York City is going to have the audacity to do that. From Stephen A's era, Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland's one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. He has all the respect from all his peers. Kenny Anderson is the same. He got all the respect from all his peers playing this sport. Blood in the ground in New York City, man. Oh my God, Connie Hawkins, the original Hawk, the one that Dr. J got his whole style from. Jordan gave birth from these guys. If there was no Connie Hawkins or Dr. Dre, there would be no Jordan. I mean, come on now. Lance Stevenson, shout out to Lance Stevenson, born ready. I felt like the dude was 6'5" and like 200 something pounds since he was like 10 years old. Billy Cunningham, Lenny Wilkins is another one. Pat Riley never he wasn't born here, I don't believe. But he has a lot of history. Whatever. He actually, his team, I believe he played for Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. Greatest Kentucky basketball player of all time. There you go, number 16. Anyway, he played for Kentucky back in the days when it was like segregation and things like that. And then there was an all-black basketball team that played against them. The history. Like Durant is the greatest basketball player to ever come through New York. I just don't get it. Sam Perkins. These names start to get obscure. Christian Laettner is from Angola. Oh my God. Cliff Robinson, may he rest in peace, is from Buffalo. Richie Guerin, one of the greatest Knicks of all time, during the era when George Mikan was winning all those championships. Oh my God. Dolph Shea. So many guys. Rest in peace to Malik Sealy. Put some respect on these guys' names. Gus Williams. Albert King is Bernard King's brother. Vinnie Johnson. I'm waiting until I got to Vinnie Johnson. Vinnie Johnson actually played with my dad growing up in Bushwick. You know what I'm saying? So, there's history in these streets in New York City, and how dare you use Durant, in this way? Is like I said, it's definitely a backhand comment, just getting at the Knicks. But you're gonna throw your whole city under the bus. Like it's blasphemous Nobody I can't really fault them too much because, like I said, they got somebody in the ear. They're working for a company. I'm quite sure they sit at meetings and say, "Listen, we got to do it. Oh, you got to do it, or you're fired." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing I can really think of that he would go come out of his face and say that. Back to Vinnie Johnson, man. Vinnie Johnson was not the greatest player to come out of Bushwick. People don't even know Vinnie Johnson is from Bushwick, man. Bushwick right over. I can't even think straight. But it's projects right off of Granite, right there. He lived right there in those projects there off of freaking Broadway. That's where he lived and grew up. But he wasn't the greatest basketball player of that neighborhood. You got Helicopter Hayes from Bushwick. Nobody knows who that is. But people from New York, people from the area, people that are old enough to know who that is, they know who Helicopter Hayes is. Snatching quarters off the backboard. There was a lot of guys doing that. But they have blood in the ground. They have history in the walls, in the street, in the trees, in the basketball courts, in New York City. Durant does not have that. He played in the Rucker in the Entertainment's Basketball Classic once or twice. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he had a chopped cheese on the way there. Does that make him the greatest basketball player to ever play in New York City? Is it because he got the scoring titles and because he got MVP and because he got the rings from another team? To say he is the greatest player to ever play in New York City, in New York, that is blasphemous. It's a disrespect to every person that ever touched the basketball in New York City. Because he did not say the Knicks. He did not say the NBA. He said history, basketball history in New York. Correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I didn't even click the article. I wouldn't have never clicked it. I would have never. I actually didn't click it. I only see the highlight, and I briefly skimmed through before I came on here. But correct me if I'm wrong. He's dissing the entire state and city of New York. It's disgusting to me, man. I mentioned Vinnie Johnson, Helicopter Hayes, and Bushwick. Earl Manigault is the most famous one of all the street ball players. Same thing, snatching quarters off the top of the backboard. Shout out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said Earl Manigault was the greatest basketball player that he ever played with. Now, that's talking about one of the greatest basketball players of all time. You could put a top 5 up right now, and a lot of people are going to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in their top 5. And he says that the greatest basketball player that he ever played with was a dude that was a heroin addict on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. What is it? Was it 97th Street? And what is that? Amsterdam? Where the school is there in the park? That's the Goat Park. They name it after Earl Manigault. That's where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar lived in his years before he went on to UCLA and all these other different things. He said the greatest basketball player they ever played was Earl Manigault. That's blood in the ground. That's history. That's stuff that whispers in the wind in New York City. Whispers is going to whisper for all time. I'm not going to let these jokers just come out of here and desecrate the sacred ground of the Mecca, which is New York City. I can't believe that. For me, in this quick thing, I feel like I'm the only one that came that's on here saying anything about this. This is not right. This is not cool. I feel like every New York City basketball player need to come out there and say something. This is like, it's enough is enough. I know you want to slander the Knicks. I know you want to tarnish the Knicks and this and that. There's so much fun, the disrespect culture. You know what I'm saying? Just a few years ago, they were making us do mandatory meetings and parent teacher conferences about bullying and stuff like that, big bullying campaigns. But look at this, the disrespect culture in 2021, after we just came out of a pandemic, is still strong. It's still raging. It's raging. And people love the disrespect. All the videos that you see on Instagram. Oh, wow, look how he disrespected him. Look how he hit him. Look how he did all these things to him to make them look stupid. What happened to the bully culture? What happened to eliminating that disrespect and whatever? This is what we're teaching our kids? This is the message you want to put out there for the young kids growing up. Then you wonder why these young people, quote unquote, don't have respect for their elders. Because look at what our elders are doing. No respect for their own place where they're from. So if you have no respect for who you are and where you're from, how can you expect the youth to come up behind you? Let me ask some other guys. Booger from Soul in the Hole, one of the best point guards I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, man. Kenny's Kings, that was a real thing. It was not a movie. It was a real thing. They just happened to be documenting it. He was the greatest point guard I've ever seen up close. I didn't have the opportunity to see Ross Strickland, in person, as much because he's older than me. But I remember coming and walking, taking the bus, train, or whatever I had to do, and walking to the park and holding on to the gate and watching Booger play. I didn't even know that they were doing something like that. Soul in the Hole. I might actually be in the background in one of those videos, man. Oh my God. Uh, another streetball player, Ali Mo from Harlem. May he rest in peace. One of the greatest basketball players I've seen in person. I've seen him play in person, and he used to. I never seen somebody talk so much and put the ball in the basket so much and play defense and everything. He could do the tricks and he could play straight up. One of the greatest basketball players that I've ever seen. Lived a short life. But like I said, the wind in the air in New York City are whispering all the cheers and yells that happen when you witness a guy like Ali Mo from Harlem play, from And1 fame. For those that don't know the mixtapes, all that mixtape stuff is fine and dandy, but that really happened, man. You can take the train uptown from Brooklyn and go up there and see these guys play in the King Dome and this, that, and the other. Come on, man. When the trees shake and whatever, they're blowing memories of all this stuff, man. Another guy I'm gonna shout out before I get the hell up out of here is Felipe Lopez. When Felipe Lopez came on the scene, it was like the Beatles, man. You have no freaking idea. And you want to tell me about Durant is the greatest basketball player to ever come through New York City? You cannot throw New York City under the bus like this. I can't believe people are letting this happen. Felipe Lopez as a teenager coming from Dominican Republic. I don't even know if he really was a teenager at the time. It didn't even matter, man. I'm telling you, those games going up there in the Bronx, whatever, was like it was pandemonium. Him walking through the street, he was like a freaking rock star as a teenager, man. Before LeBron, before all the ESPN and all this other bullshit, there was a kid named Felipe from Puerto Rico. I mean, from Dominican Republic. I remember them talking about him in Puerto, and I keep saying Puerto Rico because I'm Puerto Rican. There was word from DR. There's this kid from DR that's nice. He's coming up and he's gonna play for Rice. If I got that correctly. What I'm saying? It was a buzz, word of mouth before social media. I mentioned Marbury. All these different guys, man. It's just crazy. Like I said, I mean, I'm a little bit emotional about it. I'm trying not to curse, but I'm just trying to get my point across here that it's just not something that should be going down. I feel like whoever is on this list, they need to respond to it. They need to check them. Maybe not go on social media and have Twitter fingers like these guys do. Hit them up personally and hit them up and say something to them. You guys hang out with each other and stuff like that. Talk to him personally and tell him that shit was not cool. The way he did what he did there. And then I'm looking at the comments of especially this that tweet that Aiden tagged me in. I'm looking in the comments of what it ain't lying, right? He ain't lying. Come on, man. Let's have some self-respect. You know what I'm saying? Let's have some self-respect as a fan base, as a city, tri-state area. You know what I'm saying? New York City. We're the Mecca. We're a Mecca for a reason. It's not because we're just saying it just to say it. You know what I'm saying? We are the Mecca. There's other places, Chicago, LA, all these different places. They have their own history of basketball. They can call themselves the Mecca if they want to. Just like I mentioned this before in the podcast, the birth of hip hop. Right now, the South got hip hop. You can't tell me that the hip hop was born down south. Hip hop will forever be born in the Bronx, Sedgwick Avenue. You know what I'm saying? Basketball is the Mecca for a freaking reason, not because we're just saying it for nothing. History never dies, man. History happened. It's recorded. You can go back and look at it. You cannot disregard years of history. Just because you want to be a fucking asshole on national TV, and you're from here. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. To have walk the streets that some of these people walk, man. I'm just embarrassed, man. And this is my take. I want to get people's opinion in the comments. I'm quite sure I'm going to get a lot of dislikes and stuff from this video from fans outside because they're going to see the thumbnail and they're going to start coming at me with the bullshit. But if you're from New York, if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan and you're from New York, That had to like give you a bad taste in your mouth as well. Even if you're young, you still got to feel a little tingle, like what? He just got here. You know what I'm saying? It's not about what's happening in the moment. You cannot disregard the whole history of New York City just off of this, man. And you can't allow a guy like this to do that, man. So let me shout out the guys in the chat before I get up out of here. We got Cuts and Kicks and Knicks. Shout out to you, man. Bodega Wi-Fi. What's up, Bodega? I haven't seen you in a while, man. Man. I just want to see what you guys are saying here. Just doing it just to get ratings, and it's a shame. It's a shame. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for him. I'm quite sure his boys must have hit him up and said something. And shame, like I said, shame on you if you agree with it and saying, well, he ain't lying. If you one of those guys that say he ain't lying, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I guess it's a different world. Maybe I'm too old or whatever. Maybe I have principles and respect, for myself and for the city that I live in, and for the culture and the history, everything that I explained in this video. Maybe I have a little bit more respect than some people. Come on, man. It's not even necessarily our ancestors. A lot of these guys are still alive. How could you spit in their face? Unbelievable, man. Slime way before the name. Okay. He did the same with the Mitchell and the Jazz. Yeah, I know, he knows what he's saying, man. Listen, this is all systematic shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about systematic other things, oppression, racism, and all that? All of this propaganda they put out there is all systematic, and is really for the Knicks, for diehard Knicks fans out there. It's really because we're the ones clicking. We're the culture. We're the mecca for a reason. That's why the flagships, everything is in New York, because we're the ones clicking all this shit. You know what I'm saying? So they know that we're clicking, so they're gonna push our buttons to keep us clicking. So anyway, man, hey, May the 4th, man. Come on, man. May the 4th. May the 4th is always messing around. You know what's up already. So I'm out of here, guys. I had to speak on it, man. This whole thing, greatest player in New York basketball history. It's unbelievable, man. I'm like shaking, man. So anyway, peace to you guys. Thank you for those that are tuning in live. You check the podcast on the replay, and that's all I have to say here, man. 4 fingers to the forehead, tucking the thumb, salute, and just you have some respect, man. Have some respect out there when you're talking this basketball stuff. Everybody has a voice, but let's keep it classy and have some freaking respect, man. That's all I ask. Catch you guys at the next one, man. Peace.